Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, Operation Koper is something that we've covered many times on the channel, and it is the investigation by Police Scotland into the potential corporate homicide by the Scottish Government over the deaths of around 10,000 pensioners in Scotland's care homes. These elderly were forced in against their will often, basically imprisoned with staff not allowing them to leave, not allowing family to come in. And then people were released from hospital without having suitable COVID checks and put into these care homes with them. Leslie Roberts, great friend of the channel. We've had her on many times discussing all sorts of problems, but including Operation Koper. Has been interviewed to give evidence for a third statement. She's already given two statements. It was, of course, Leslie who instigated proceedings under Operation Koper. She provided ample evidence, file after file, 57, I think, or 62 files. Can't remember the exact number. There were so many. And indeed, it was so much evidence that the police took quite some time going through it before eventually beginning the inquiry. Literally overwhelmed with evidence of the malfeasance at the heart of the SNP government at that time. And Sturgeon and Freeman, whom we know unlovingly as the Shipman sisters, are at the heart of it. The allegations are that those two knowingly and with malice negotiated policy and implemented planned action that would lead knowingly to the deaths of the elderly. This is the allegation. This is the investigation. Now, we can see why from a political point of view. Elderly tended to be more unionist. If she could get rid of that, it may make it easier for her to achieve that goal of independence. Plus, of course, there was the costs incurred. Old people cost a lot. If you can knock them out, you can save a fortune, both in healthcare and pensions going forward. There was a lot at stake. Leslie presented the evidence. The police came. They took various statements from her. They came again, a second set of statements. They've gone back for a third time. Now, this was all put forward by Leslie Roberts, by Rab Wilson, and by Roger Livermore. Now, of course, we've had Roger on the channel as well several times, and we've done his letters. He's actually been upstairs. We've done the studio interview with Roger. So we're well aware of everything that's going on, but it looks like it's stepping up a gear now as the police are coming in for more clarification on particular details. For legal reasons, for obvious legal reasons, we cannot discuss details of everything that's involved, but one doesn't need to know the details at this stage. One needs only to know that it is being taken seriously and that these potential charges are in line, possibly, to make the Shipman sisters the greatest serial killers in history by a long mark. Now, this investigation is being handled by officers linked to the COVID-19 National Death Inquiry. It's all part of that. They've got a big team doing that. And this is that itself is just a part of Operation Koper. Operation Koper is a massive, sprawling investigation. What happens? Who knows? They do have a way of wriggling out of these things, don't they? Like crawling beasts that they are. But it seems safe to say that if the police are going back for a third set of statements and more evidence to be discussed with Leslie, that they at least are taking it seriously. Donald Marshall, who's from the Scottish Care, the industry body, says that he considers this investigation to be, his words, unfairly characterised against the care home sector. He says it's not a care home investigation. The care homes are as much victims of what was done to them as the sadly departed. So this is all a government policy decision. This is SNP. this is Freeman, this is Sturgeon, this is hospitals being forced to release and forced to release without doing the appropriate tests. This is hospitals imposing do not resuscitate against the will, often against even the knowledge of families. And so none of this is the fault of the care homes. And I want to stress, no one is claiming that this is the fault of the care homes. They were operating under very strained conditions. The things they were forced to do were legally enforced by a government acting illegally, many cases, allegedly. But all these people involved all need to be thoroughly investigated, and where appropriate, they need to be arrested, they need to be charged, they need to be tried, convicted, and imprisoned in very harsh prisons. No, summer clubs. We want these in deep, dark hole prisons for the remainder of their lives, because the numbers of dead are truly astonishing. So big, it's very hard to actually imagine that many dead people in one go. But, it's just... If you think the average high school has 1,000 pupils, think 10 high schools dead because of government policy, deliberate policy. Now, as we know, Leslie was an infection control nurse at the Greater Glasgow and Clyde at the start of the pandemic. She no longer works there due to not just this, but all the other things that she fought for and is still fighting for. So she was really there at the pointy end of this. And they've tried many times to discredit her. They can't discredit her. They tried to get rid of her. She's not going away. And once all the details that she's provided from years of experience, not just as nurse, but as specific areas of her competence, being a union rep, being an infection control nurse, once these are all taken in, you're not dealing with someone just, mentioning things. You're dealing with someone with expert knowledge passing this on. And that's why the police, of course, are taking it so serious. Now, the Crown Prosecution Service Crown Prosecution, go north of the border, Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service, my mistake, they're carrying on what they call a professional and independent investigation. But you have to wonder how professional and independent it is when you consider that their head sits inside the cabinet of the SNP government. And that too is very, very worrying. But 10,000 dead care home patients cannot be swept under the carpet. This does need full investigation. So all strength to Leslie, all strength to Roger, all strength to Rab, all strength to everyone involved in this. And may the truth come out regardless of where and how high it goes. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.